Hello everyone. Thank you for joining with us today for this webinar. My name is Chase Kim from IDTECH Global, and I will be presenting today along with another member of our tech support team, David Yu. Today, we would like to go over the basic materials in regards to our IDTECH Standard Software. This includes standard features, software installation guide, initial setting guide, milestone setting, and troubleshooting guide. So let's get started. I believe some of you are already familiar with our IDTECH software. Our IDTECH Standard Software is perfectly suitable for small to medium-sized projects such as commercial, government, bank, school, factory, and military. But it is also scalable for even larger projects. As you can see on the screen, IDTECH Access Control System may fit into any of the following industries. Standard software provides 4 different add-on modules, which are ID Batching Pro, Visitor Management Pro, Time Pro, and View Pro. Let's go over these modules one by one. ID Badging Pro is a module designed to let you create your own customized badges. Visitor Management Pro is designed to provide you with the capability of managing visitors. Features like pre-registration, visitor access and record management, and various notification and reporting capabilities will be provided. Time Pro is a professional time and attendance management solution. It provides various time and attendance and user-defined reports. Lastly, View Pro is a module that's integrated with video surveillance management tool, especially for Samsung DVR and NVR. I just mentioned about video surveillance, so let's go over this quickly. We have 2 different types of video integration, Milestone and Genetec. For Standard plus AM, it'll be Milestone X Protect. For Standard plus G, it'll be Genetec Omnicast. This diagram shows what the end result would look like after configuration. Here you can see that there is one head office with multiple branch offices. Of course, our standard software has two different types, server and client. All those can be utilized for this kind of situation. I would like to go into standard software installation guide. If you have any questions, please feel free to message us in the question section. Just to let you know, all questions and answers will be compiled and emailed to you. All this information will be shared with you guys. So let's get started. This is the minimum system requirement for IDTECK Standard Software. Operating system, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows Server 2003, Windows Server 2008 R2, and Windows Server 2012 R2. The chart also contains the minimum requirement for the processor, memory, hard drive, display, drive, CD-ROM, and the database. IDTECK Standard Software must be utilized together with Microsoft SQL Server because the SQL Server will act as a storage to keep the saved data. Note that SQL Server 2008 is not supported starting with Windows 10. When you first try to install our software, you will see that Microsoft SQL Server 2008 is already included in the installation file. If you are using Windows 7, 8, or 8.1, it's okay to use that. However, if you're using Windows 10, you should download and install Windows SQL Server 2012 or higher in advance before installing our software. Also, for Windows 10, please use Standard Server version 3.03.01 and higher. Standard Software, Enterprise Software, and Time Pro Software have the exact same installation setup process. If the user does not follow these following steps, there might be a limitation or issue when installing or running software. Especially in case of Windows 7 64-bit, program will have trouble running if run this program as an administrator is not checked or selected. The first thing you have to do if you have the installation file is right-click the installation file, go to Property, go to Compatibility tab. On the bottom section, you will see an option where it says Run this program as an administrator. Make sure to check it. Next step is simply double-click the installation file to run the program. From that point, it's really simple. You just have to click OK, Next, Next, to start the installation. When you get to this point, you will see the 3 different components for Microsoft SQL Server. Just select whatever components you need to install. If the components have already been installed, there will be no selection shown. After that, check your instance name, password, and click Next. Usually login ID is already given as SA. Password, you can always modify the password. For example, I personally use 123456 always for the password, but you can always modify it. After done, click Next to proceed with the installation. When it's finished, you'll be prompted that it is fully finished. The installation part is a really simple part. So we will just go over this by explaining to you about this. For more details, please refer to our installation guide manual for software installation especially. When the installation is finished, simply click Finish button to finish the installation. Now this is the key part, administrator privilege setting. After the installation, you will see 3 different shortcuts on your desktop. IDTECK Config, IDTECK Communication Server, and IDTECK Application. For all those 3 shortcuts, make sure to right-click, go to Properties, go to Compatibility tab, and check the box on the bottom section where it says Run this program as an administrator. First thing you have to run is the config file. Double-click the config file, type in your host name, which is your instance name, type in the database information, username, which it was already given to you, SA, and the password. Click Connection Test button to test the connection. If the connection is successful, click OK and close the config file. In order to run our application, the communication server should be running in advance. So always run the communication server first. Double click the IDTECK communication server icon to run it, and then start and try opening the actual application. So instead of showing you from here, let's just go directly to our desktop. Here are 2 of those icons, IDTECK Communication Server and IDTECK Standard Server, which is the actual application. As I just mentioned, always run the communication server first. After opening the communication server, the first thing you have to do is go to the server setup section, click database, and check the information and check here whether you have correct information entered. Server IP with your instance name, database name, username, and the password. Next thing you have to do is, again, go to server setup, go to use site, click use site option, and check your site ID. If you have correct information entered, then try running the actual application. Default login and password is admin and admin. I'd like to mention you one more time that if you have any question to ask, please feel free to message us in the questions section of this webinar. We will answer your question in a promptly manner. And all these questions and answers will be compiled and emailed to you. This is the basic interface of our software that you're going to see. As you can see, there are multiple options and features on the left-hand side. The most important options and the key options are listed here. Step 1, building floor setting. Step 2, site setting. Step 3, loop setting. Step 4, device setting. And step 5, door setting. So let's go over this one by one. First, building floor setting. When you look at the top of the window, you will see multiple icons here. Click this icon which says New. Do you want to perform New Write? Click Yes. From here, you can name your building. In this case, I will name it as IDTECK Global Headquarters. After naming your building, you can put the description. It's just optional. You don't really have to put the description here, but if you want it, please do so. When you look at the bottom part on the left-hand side, you'll see available floor list, which means you have to register floors to this building. In this case, I will just register one floor to this building. In order to register the building, there are two ways. You can just simply double click it, then it'll be moved to the right hand side, which means it's registered. Also, you can click to highlight and click this right arrow button to register. To unregister the floors, you can do the same thing. Click to highlight and click this left arrow button to unregister. When you are done, click Save button, which look like a floppy disk. Save on IDTECK Global Headquarters is successfully promoted. Click OK. If any one of you are unmuted right now, please mute yourself. After saving it, click this X button to close the window. First part is done. Next, let's go to the step 2. Site setting. When you click this right arrow button, you will see a default site, which is already given to you. You have two choices. You can either modify this site by typing in your IP address of your server PC, or you can also create a new site. For now, I will just modify the default site. I will name it as IDTECK webinar site. For the IP address, you have to enter your computer's IP address, which means the server PC, the PC that software is running on. So let's check my IP address here. 192.168.1.82. This is the IP address of this computer, the server PC. So I will use this as my site IP address. 192.168.1.82. Make sure this box is checked where it says use. After entering all necessary information, click Connection Test button to check the connection to the site. If it says the site is connected, that means you're connected firmly. Click OK. Click Save button to save the setting, and click Close button to close the window. One thing to make sure is that when you go back to the communication server, server setup, and use site, you see that there's a section that you can input site ID number. On the bottom, it shows you all listed sites here. You can see that the site ID number of the default site is 1. If you decide not to modify the default site, but to create the new site, then the site ID number for that new site will start from 2. Therefore, if you decide to create a new site instead of modifying the default site, which was already given, make sure to come to this communication server again, go to server setup, go to use site, and correct the site ID number. In order to reduce your confusion, I will just create one extra site to show you this. Let's click New. Let's name the site as Extra Site. Let's enter IP address. I'll just create one simple IP address as 100 and save it. Then you'll get a message box saying that please go to communication server, change the site ID. In that case, you have to go back to the communication server and change the site ID number. Here it says to enable the registered site, set communication server setting, site ID to number 2 on the communication server. Let's go back to communication server, go to server setup, go to use site. Let's click OK to restart the communication server, just to show you what sites are available right now. Here, you can see that the first site that I created has site ID number of 1. The second site that I created, which it was named as extra site, has the site ID number of 2. If you want to use this site, you must enter number 1 here. If you want to use this site, you must enter number 2 here. For now, I'll just use the first site. Now, we just finished step 1 and step 2. Let's go to step 3, loop setting. Click the loop setting option to open up a window. Same thing here, click new button. Select the site. Name the loop. Choose the communication type. If your controller is connected over the network by using TCP/IP module, you should choose network communication. If you are utilizing serial communication, then you have to choose serial communication. The controller that we are using right now, it's connected over to the network, so we will choose network communication. After selecting the communication type, check this box where it says whether to use. Next, go to Network Communication tab. From here, click Auto Search Loop button to search for your controller. Then the software will detect all registrable controllers in the same network by detecting its MAC address. The controller that we are using right now is this. So I will click to select, click this little arrow button to register. Once you register, check all the information to see whether or not it's correctly entered. IP address, subnet mask, gateway. If you see that incorrect information is typed in there, make sure to click and change it. After confirming all informations are correctly entered, click Apply button here to apply this setting. After applying the setting, you simply have to click Save button to save the setting and close the Close button to close the window. Let's just wait until it finishes configuring. Network setting is performed. Click OK. Now click Save button. Then you will be prompted. You will see a message box saying that, do you want to restart the communication server? Click Yes to restart the communication server. Once it's done, click Close button to close down the window. We just have covered Step 1, building floor setting. Step 2, site setting. Step 3, loop setting. Next, Let's go to step 4, device setting. Same thing here. Click the new button to perform new write. After that, select your site, select the loop that you just created. On the device type section, if you're using controller, click controller. If you're trying to set up a biometric reader, click biometric reader. In this case, I will choose controller. On the product type section, click the little arrow button to open the drop-down list and select the product that you are using. We are using ITDC right now, so I will choose ITDC. Device door type, 2-door. Device address, which means the dip switch setting on the board. If the dip switch is set to 0, you must select 0. If it's set to 1, you have to select 1. In this case, we have set the dip switch to 0, so let's select 0. On the last section where it says device, you just have to simply type in the device name that you want to call it. Again, make sure to check this little box where it says whether to use. Check it. Click Save button. When it's asking you to restart the communication server, you click Yes. After that, you will see a message box saying that do you want to perform send, which means transmitting the data to the controller. Click Yes. Once it's done, click the Close button to close the window. There, we have just set up the device. So step 1, building floor setting. Step 2, site setting. Step 3, loop setting. Step 4, device setting. These are done. So let's go to step 5, door setting. Once you open the door setting window, click this little right arrow button. Then you'll see your site, loop, and the device that you have just set up. On the door name section, type in the door name. In this case, I will name it as main door. Next part, area. Area means your building plus your floor. Click this little arrow button and select your building and the floor. Operating time means the door operating time. How many seconds, for how many seconds doors should be opened. Unlock time schedule means for how long do you want to leave the door open. In order to utilize this, you need to create time code with time schedule. In this webinar, instruction of how to create time schedule will be excluded. For these kind of options, please feel free to contact us via tech support at idtechglobal.com, or you can always refer to our installation manual. Now let's set up the reader. Reader in, use or not use section. Of course, select use, reader name. Name your reader. In this case, I will name it as RF10 since we are using RF10 proximity reader. Reader type. You will see three different reader types here. Proximity reader with keypad, and biometric reader. If you are using just simple proximity reader for scan the car, scan in and scan out, choose this. If you are using any proximity reader with keypad, such as RFK 101, then choose the second option. If you're using any biometric reader, such as LX006, choose the third option. Since we are using RF10, which is a proximity reader only, we will choose proximity reader for the reader type for now. Operation mode. If you choose proximity reader, this will be set to RF only automatically. If you choose biometrics reader on the reader type, then you will see an option that says fingerprint. For now, we will stick to proximity reader with RF only option. The next step is simply click Save button to save the setting. And it'll automatically transfer the data to the controller. Once it's done, click Close button to close the window. There, all these key 5 steps have been covered. Since we have already finished setting up the device, reader, and the door, it's time to test the setting. So let's go to car holder management here. This option is used when you want to register the user. So let's try registering one user and see it correctly works. Click the car holder management. This is the window that you're going to see after clicking car holder management icon. Same thing, simply click New button to perform new write. Employee ID, you can modify it. You can set whatever way that you want. Name, let's name it Chase Kim. After that, go to this company and department section. If you click the button, little arrow button to open the drop-down list, you'll see there's a company name, company, already given to you. You can always go to Operation Management, Company Setting to create your own company. For example, IDTECH. Click Save. Operation Management, Department Setting. Click New, Tech Support Department. Click Save. close. Now, let's reopen this cardholder management window. Then you will see the company and the department you have just created. So let's click New and try to add a new user. 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, name, Chase Kim. Company, IDTECK. Oops. After creating company and department, always go to company department setting to assign the department to that company. There you go. Company name IDTECK and department name Tech Support Department have been paired up. Click Save. Let's go back to cardholder management and create a new user. Just Kim, company IDTECK, department Tech Support Department. Next, go to the second tab where it says Access Card Information. The first option that you're going to see is whether to use the card or not. Make sure this box is checked. Next, card type. There are 3 different types: access card, parking card, and ETC card. In this case, choose access card. Card number. In this section, simply enter your card number. But remember, always use the last 8 digits. Next, you can always create 4-digit password. In order to make it simple as possible, I will just use 1, 2, 3, 4, which I used for my employee ID. Next section, card mode. When you click the drop-down list, you will see 5 different types of modes: employee, management, visitor, arm disarm, and special ID. For this case, I will choose employee. When you look at the right-hand side, you will see a section where you can actually assign the door to this user. If you have not created access group, then you will have to assign the door individually, which means individual door must be assigned to the user. Click to check this box. Click the access group section and choose individual door set. There, you will see your door, which you have created in the door section list. Click to highlight. Click the little arrow button to register it. Then you're done. Come back to this side. Click this little issue button to issue the card to this user. What happened is this card has been issued to this employee. You can see it by looking at the bottom section. It says access card with the card number, password, employee, issue date. All this information will be available after clicking this issue button. Once done, click Save. Transfer it. Finished. When you're finished, click Close button to close the window. There you go. Everything has been done. We have created building floor. IDTECH Global Headquarters with one floor registered to it. We have created the site, IDTECH webinar site. We have created the loop 1 with one ITDC controller registered to it. We have created the device under the webinar site, under the loop. We have set up a controller. The type is ITDC for 2 doors. And we have set up a door on that particular controller named as main door. We also have created one user with a valid card information. Now, let's test it. Click this integration monitoring window icon to open up a monitoring window. Now, let's scan the card that we have just assigned to the user. There you go. It says access granted with the correct card number, with the correct building floor name, with the correct door name, with the correct device name. Company information, department information are also shown. Let's try one more time. There you go. Now, what happens if I scan unregistered card to the reader? Let's test. There you go. At the bottom section for alarm event, you will see the event that says access denied with the wrong card number, unregistered card number. So this is the result that you're going to get. For the registered card, of course, correct information will be shown on the screen with the event saying access granted. For unregistered card, of course, access will be denied and all this information will be shown to you. I will mention one more time. If you have any question, please feel free to message us in the questions section. So this is how you actually set up the basic information with basic information. Building floor setting, site setting, loop setting, device setting, door setting, and the cardholder management are key 6 options that you have to use for IDTECH Standard Software. Just to let you know again, all the questions that we get and all the answers that we provide to you will be compiled and emailed to all of you. It'll be shared so that you can see what type of questions were asked and what kind of answer was provided. Now, since I've mentioned about video surveillance, we will just simply go over how we set up video surveillance. We would like to show you how easy it is. It's really simple. It's a really simple process, and we would like to show you how easy it is to set up. So let's go over that. In order to use video surveillance, of course, Milestone server must be on. Double-click the Milestone server icon to open up a Milestone server. Once it's running in the background, come back to IDTECK Software. When you look at the top portion of the interface, you will see multiple tabs here. Click the tab where it says Video. After clicking that tab, go to Milestone Server Setting option. Here, simply name the Milestone server. I will just name Milestone for webinar. For the IP address, use the same IP address that you used for the site setting, which is your PC IP address, the server PC that has IDTECK Standard Software running. So in this case, it'll be 192.168.1.82. 192.168.1.82. Port number always 80, which is the web port. For login ID and password, make sure to use your computer login ID, which is your Windows login ID. When you turn on your computer, the computer asks you to type in the password to get into your desktop, right? Use that ID and password always. For my case, the Windows login ID is capital IDTECH -D. Password, lowercase IDTECH. Check the box where it says whether to use and click connection test button. There, connection test successful. Click OK. Click Save. Save of Milestone for webinar is successfully performed. Click Close button to close the window. Let's go back to Video tab. This time, Milestone camera setting. Click the little arrow button to open up the server name that you have just set up. Click Search Camera. We only have connected one camera here, so only one camera is shown. Click it. Click the downward arrow button to register it. Make sure that whether to use checkbox is checked. Select building floor. If you want to use graphic map, check this box to use the graphic map. Check this icon to select the icon. Once you're done, click the select box to check it and save it. That's it. Next, let's go back to Video tab again. Let's go to camera mapping. Here, you are actually deciding which device, the camera 1, which device you like the camera 1 to be associated with. Which means which device you like to pair up with camera. this is the section where you decide that. So let's click camera 1. Let's click the reader. Let's click the arrow button to pair those up. There you go. Under the RF10 reader, there's camera 1. This means that camera 1 will cooperate with the reader named RF10, which means whenever someone scans the card to the reader, camera will start operating it and take the footage. Let's click Save button to save the setting. Let's close it. Let's go back to Video tab. There you go. You're done. Since we have set up the camera surveillance system, let's go to the monitoring window to check it. Let's go to Integrated Monitoring. There you go. You see the list of camera. Milestone for webinar. This is the server name. Under that server, you'll see camera 1. So let's scan the registered card. Let's scan the card that we just registered. This is the result that you're going to get. Let's test it one more time. There you go. Live view will be available for you. This is live view right here. Now, what happens if you scan unregistered card? Same thing. The camera will still be operating. Why? Because simply you want to see what happens. Registered card owner could scan the card, but sometimes, who knows, a person with unregistered card might try to open the gate. So you simply want to know, you simply want to see what's happening out there all the time. So even if you scan the registered card or unregistered card, the camera will still be operating. Now, let's say you want to check the past event. For example, someone tried to scan the card 10 minutes ago, but you couldn't check it at that time. Now you want to check it. Easy. Simply double click the event. Let's say this event right now happened on 12:55:58, which is about 1 minute ago. That's a past event. If you want to see the past event, simply double click it. And click this play button. Let's just create a few more extra events. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. This one happened about 15-20 seconds ago. Let's just assume that we were unable to check it at that time. But now you want to check it. Double click the event and click the play button. Then you will be able to see what actually happened at the time. There you go. It's really simple. We just wanted to show you how simple it is to set up, how simple it is to use. If you have any questions, make sure to message us right away in the question section. And one of my team members named David Yu will be answering your questions in a promptly manner. Let me say one more time. All these questions and answers will be compiled and emailed to you. You will be able to see all the questions and all the answers. All this information will be shared. So that is it. We have just covered the installation, initial setting, and the milestone setting portion. If you have any more questions, please message us right now. We will email the answer to you from now on. For additional questions and concerns, please contact us via tech support at idtechglobal.com. For sales inquiries, please contact us via sales@idtech.com or sales@idtechglobal.com. If you have additional questions, please email us to techsupport@idtechglobal.com. We will email you with an answer in a promptly manner. This recording, the recording of this webinar will also be emailed to you so that you can play back, go back, and listen and watch again. So once again, the recording of this webinar, along with all the questions that we received and all the answers that we provided to you, will be compiled and emailed to you. So right now we have some more questions that we have received. We will be answering those questions right now, so we will just give you briefly about 5 more minutes. And after that, if you have additional questions after that, please email us. It seems like we still have some more questions, but all the answers will be emailed to you. We are compiling all the questions that we have just received, and we are compiling it, and we will be providing you answer with the answer via email. So just to let you know once again, recording of this webinar along with questions that we have received and the answers we have provided will be compiled and also be emailed to you. It will be shared. So that is it. I will wrap up. Thank you for attending IDTECK Standard webinar. We really hope to see you guys soon in the next session. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.